Hi guys, it's Owen from farfaway.org. In this video we're going to look at a slightly more complicated situation than the last time. So in the last video I looked at just the idea of a simple opposed duel. In this situation we're going to have the Death Marshal initially take a couple of shots at the Ashigaru, and then the Ashigaru move out and attempt to get into melee with the Death Marshal. So the thing you'll see here is the Ashigaru is behind some cover. And in Malifaux there are two basic types of cover. There's soft cover and hard cover. Soft cover gives a negative to attack. Hard cover gives a negative attack and a negative to any damage flips that happen subsequently. So this is going to be a tricky shot for the Death Marshal to make. So the Death Marshal is going to size up the situation here and decides that using both of his APs to make shots is going to be really tricky. The reason that's tricky is that you get a negative twist on any attack flips, which we've seen, and you can't cheat on negative twist. Now, of course, there's no hand in this situation again, so cheating doesn't really come into play. But in this situation, the Death Marshal is going to activate, and for his first action, what he's going to do is he's going to focus. Focus is a 1 AP action, and your following attack action, just do the very next AP, gets a positive twist to attack and damage. So that'll help to negate the effects of the Ashigaru being in cover. So the Death Marshal is going to make the attack with his Peacebringer. It's the second weapon listed there. It's a shooting attack, shooting 5, defense as the resist, and range 10. And the damage spread is 2, 3, 5, and again we have the Ram critical strike trigger. So let's check the range. In Malifaux you can measure at any stage you wish, so the distance between them is about 8 inches there. It's just short of 8 inches. So well within the 10-inch range of the weapon. So he's focused, he's now taking a shot, so I'm going to flip, and it's a straight flip now because it's a negative because of the hard cover, but a positive because of my focusing, so they cancel each other out to a straight flip. So 8 is the number flipped, plus 5, which is the shooting value of that weapon, gives a 13 total for the Death Marshal. The Ashigaru has a defense of 4, so he happens to flip a 12, so 16 total, which means the shot misses. And that's the end of the Death Marshal's activation, and these cards go into the discard pile, of the respective discard piles. Okay, so the Ashigaru is going to activate now. He has no ranged weapon, so he's going to decide that getting into melee with the Death Marshal is the way to go. So he can't charge him directly with an ordinary charge. Most models, the only option they have to charge into melee is an ordinary charge, which is a 2 AP action. They move their charge distance. Every model has a specific charge distance listed on their stat card, and if they engage the enemy, they may make 2 attacks. The Ashigaru has a slightly different option though. He has a 1 tactical action called Lunge. This model may discard a card to take a charge attack, or charge action. So first off he's going to walk out. He has a walk of 5. So he's going to walk, say, 2 inches to there, another 3 inches to there. I'm going to check the distance between them. Okay, the distance is fine. And he's going to make a lunge action. In order to do that action I would have to discard a card, which means I would need a card in my hand that I didn't want for whatever reason, and I would discard it to the top of my discard pile. So let's assume I had that capability, I had a hand, and he can charge. So that lunge is 3, he's going to go to here, and he has a 2-inch melee, so he's actually going to stay a little bit out of the Death Marshal's melee range. The Death Marshal only has a 1-inch melee range on his weapon. So he is now charged, he gets to make his 2 melee attacks. So he's going to flip to attack, so he has a melee of 5 on that weapon. So 5 and 9 is 14. Defense on the Death Marshal, and that's a 13 and defense of 5. So that's 18 plays 14, so that's a miss. Again, no cheating involved here, so we go straight to the second attack. Remember, 2 attacks come with a charge. So this is the defense for Death Marshal, which is a 12. The attack, total, okay, that's better. At 13, he also gets a crow in the trigger, so I'll discuss the trigger for that in a moment. So he is on an 18 for his attack. The Death Marshal is on a 12 for his defense, so that's a difference of 6, which ordinarily would be a straight twist. But something you'll notice here from Death Marshal, he is hard to wound 1, which means all damage flips against him suffer a negative. So I've hit, normally be a straight twist, however it's going to be a negative twist for damage. So flipping 2 cards, taking the lower. So the lower is 1, which is weak damage. The damage spread is 2, 3, 4 on that. However, I did get a crow in my attack, and that triggers the infect, which I'll go for. After succeeding, target gains the poison +1 condition a number of times equal to the number of crows in the total. So there's only one crow there. So he is now poisoned, as well as me doing weak damage, which is 2. So 2 damage have been dealt to him. That would be the end of the Ashigaru's activation. When the Death Marshal would activate now on the next turn, obviously the player would have a hand of cards, so maybe have slightly more options. But he is not engaging the Ashigaru because he only has a 1-inch range. So if he's going to attack him in melee, he'd have to move in. However, he is engaged, so he can't shoot from that position. He could try and back out of that melee, but that would involve a disengaging strike. And if he's hit, then his activation would immediately end. So he's in a slightly precarious situation, given that the Ashigaru is slightly better in melee than he is. Thanks for watching, guys.